Hey, welcome back. Today's video is on 6 things I never learned in the classroom, but I really should have. Let's get started. So I taught for 26 years, and I wasn't one of those teachers, I know it all, I wasn't like that. I tried to help kids out. That was my goal in life, was to help kids. And today, it's snowing out there, and I'm not at a classroom. I'm quite happy to not have had to drive in 30 miles to my school. They did not cancel today. So this is one of the days where people ask, so what do you think about not teaching anymore? This is the day I say, I love it, because I've got a pot of chili in the crock pot ready for supper tonight. I'm planning another cup of coffee in a little bit after we get done filming here. It's great. I really like this part of not having to be at school all the time. I've got 6 things today that I never learned in the classroom, but I really probably should have. The first one I learned, and this one I learned just through teaching, all the years of teaching, is that people want to be heard. And obviously, you're listening to me, so you are listening, and people want to be heard. You want to tell the story. Even when I taught at elementary school, little kids would come up, Miss Long, I got a new puppy today. I was like, oh, wow, what's his name? And it's just as simple. They were so excited. Do they remember the primary colors? Hopefully. But do they remember the interaction? Of course. As the kids got older, they're telling much more complex stories, but they just want to be heard. Now, I do caution you, though, when you have somebody who likes to be heard, some people like to talk a lot. So there are a few people I would limit how much I would listen to them. We had a couple of custodians that could, I'm surprised I have ears left underneath this hair. Yeah, they would chew your ear off for sure. But people just want to be heard. So think about that. If you're, hopefully this is a lesson you may have learned. If not, try it sometime. It's actually really beneficial that people are like, wow, they just need to be listened to. The next one, the best lessons I have aren't learned in the book. I never had a textbook. Oh, they would provide some books for us to use, but especially as an art teacher, to teach out of a textbook. It just doesn't work that way. But this story goes all the way back to the Dark Ages. We were still teaching in caves. Okay, well, actually, I was in school. I was in high school, and I had a great art teacher, an amazing mentor. And one day, she was rewarding her advanced art class. There was only about 4 or 5 of us in the class. It was a small school, after all. And she rewarded us with ice cream and chocolate sundaes. So we had chocolate sauce on the vanilla ice cream. It was great. And I don't even remember why we were getting this reward. I think it's probably because we had worked really hard for a while. So we're eating along, we're just chatting, some of that listening as well. And then she takes the chocolate syrup and starts pouring it onto the table. And then she starts messing with it, and she encourages us to as well. So here we are, we're drawing in chocolate syrup on the table. We did have to clean it up. She did break out. I learned the other lesson is that shaving cream is a great thing to clean with. So she got the shaving cream out, and we sprayed the tabletops, and we cleaned up our mess. But I still remember that today. Do I remember some of the other lessons she taught? No, I don't. But I remember that. That was so much fun, and she was such a great teacher. This lesson I kind of learned when I was teaching, and then I kept doing it as well with the kids. Well, my first year at the high school I just retired from, I was teaching a video class, and one of the girls in there, she came to me a couple of years later, and I still follow her on Facebook. I see her every now and again. She graduated like 15 years ago, but she said, I didn't know what to do. You would give us an assignment, and you'd just say, oh, go figure it out. Just go figure it out. I don't know. Go figure out those problems with it. Now, she told me about this a couple of years after I actually taken the class. So I've been doing this for about 15 years now, probably. But kids have been told what to do so many times that they've lost that creative spark. And it's sad. I used to call it the snowman mentality. How many elementary schools have you gone into? And there's a beautiful display on one of the bulletin boards, and there's 30 little snowmen that all look identical. All have perfect little heads, all have maybe different colors of scarves, but yet everything is the same. It's because the teacher said, we want it to look good. It's about the appearance on the hallway. Everyone's has to look the same. And they've lost that ability to problem solve. Even in the last several years, I had noticed that when I was teaching an intro to art class, a very basic art class, kids not overly creative in the artistic realm, they're very talented students, but maybe not in art. And so I found that they would be like, well, can I make it this color? Can I draw this in that color? I'm like, sure. You make some rules. And that was kind of the key thing I did in that class was you make some rules for this assignment and then you follow them. So if you want the blue triangles to be blue and you want the squares to be red, that's fine. You make whatever you want to do, you can. But it was really hard to break that because they've been told, do it this way, and do it this way. Now I understand there's some procedures that have to be done in, like science and in math, like acid into water or water into acid. I never learned that one, so don't ever give me an acid and water and tell me which one to put in first. I don't know. You guys will tell me in the comments after all. But I'm not a scientist. I'm not messing with acid on a daily basis, so it's not a big problem. But these kids, they didn't have these procedures they had to follow in most of my assignments, and it was really sad. I was like, wow, you guys, you lost your creative thought. You lost your problem solving. So I really strive to find that. So if you haven't, try and break out the box a little bit. Don't have to be Picasso, but you do need to try a little bit more to, hey, not follow the rules always. Another one I found that was really helpful, and I learned this one in high school as well. I had a really kind of a young, kind of a hip, I guess is the term, science teacher. Liked to get along with the kids, liked to chat with us. He was one of those listeners as well. But he's like, okay, we're studying like biology, and so we need to know the order of all the different levels of animals. And you're like, okay, and so how do I remember them? Well, it was, I can still do it today. It's kingdom, phylum, class, order, genus, species. I still remember that to this day. I mean, and I took this high school class 100 years ago. I've got a few years on me after all. And you know how he reminded us of it? It was one of those mnemonic devices. And those of you who have children, you may want to censor this just slightly because it is a little risque, especially where we were teenagers and we learned this from our science teacher. But it was, Kansans put condoms on for good sex. Kingdom, phylum, class, order, genus, species. Yeah, I still remember that. So even then, as I was teaching, I was like, how can I help kids remember different things? One was try and find commonality. So like if we're teaching in graphic design, spacing. So spacing between lines, you think of it as single or 1.15 is what Word likes to do, or 1.5. It's called leading. So lines, leading. And if the spacing between characters, how far apart they are, that's kerning for characters, because a lot of times it's called a character in a program you're working on. Now, I know you probably don't really need that in your day-to-day life, but it helped in the classroom because at least it gave something. It's like, was it called kerning or was it called leading? Kerning or leading? Oh, it helped to remind them. So that's the thing I've always remembered. I still laugh when I think of why do I still need to know kingdom, phylum, class, order, genus, species? But I do. So number 5, I actually didn't even have this professor in a class ever. He didn't teach terribly many classes. I worked at WSU in the Art and Design College, the School of Art and Design, and I was the girl who answered the phone because this was the era before cell phones. People had pagers, and we didn't really give pager numbers out. Wasn't very useful, and most college professors didn't have them. So if you needed to reach your professor, you would have to call the School of Art and Design. I would answer your phone. I would then try that extension, and and I also did photocopying and filing and fun stuff like that. Hey, it paid my way through college. But the chairman for the college, his name was Don. He was in charge of setting up a show one time, and he's like, hey, Jenny, we're going to go set up the show. Come on. I'm like, okay, he just needs someone to help him. I'm the student assistant, so I'll go assist you, Don, sure. It was great. It was the best lesson I ever had. I'm like, why was I never told how to do these things in a classroom? We were setting up a show. I don't even really know what the show was exactly. I don't even know what the artwork was. I don't remember anything really. But he was like, hey, this is how you put a wire on the back of an artwork. So if you've got little eyelets or you've got little triangle shapes you've got to put a wire between on the back. He said, hey, if you just put it on and you just twist it on, you feed it through and twist it on, and you do this side, feed it through and twist it on, it can fall down. Especially if it's a big artwork. I was like, oh, okay, well, I never knew that. So, okay, that's the thing. But that wasn't the big thing. The big thing is when you put it through, you just feed it through the loop and you twist it once or twice. Then you take that loop, feed it through again, and then twist it again all the way up. It was that easy. That's all there was to it. But that little bit of information I've been able to use for the last 26 years. I was in the classroom, hanging artwork, getting things ready for display, getting things ready for anywhere, even in the house, in the shop. If we're hanging something, especially sometimes they can be kind of heavy, especially some of the part works I make now, they can get quite heavy working with car parts. But how do you hang things? And all because the chairman for the College of Art and Design said, hey, Jenny, go help me. I need some help. I can't do this by myself. He showed me something so invaluable. I've not even been able to tell him what he did, but it was so amazingly useful. Now, those are the 5 things I've got. Now, do I have more? Of course I do. I don't know what they are right now. Right now, these are the ones that I thought of right now. And you know what? If this video is really successful, I'll think of some more. But how many things have you had in life that people have taught you? Now, these were just in the classroom or in a school setting. I could, pan over to the rest of the kitchen here, and I've got probably a dozen helpful tips and tricks I've learned from just cooking. But what have you learned that has been really helpful? You're like, wow, why didn't they teach me that in class? That would have been really helpful. Anyway, glad you're with me today. Thanks for watching. Catch you next week. Bye.